There's a war against our children. It's happening in your neighborhood right now. I hope you'll forgive me because I'm going to get emotional during this program as we talk about the shattering of innocence this week on SkyWatch TV. Welcome to SkyWatch TV. I'm Derek Gilbert, sitting in this chair this week for Joe Artis Horn, and let me tell you, it is an honor to do so this week. And as I said in the opening, be prepared. I am, because the subject matter this week is going to get emotional, but it is the reason that we do what we do at SkyWatch TV, the reason we partner with ministries in this same fight as we try to stand for those who cannot stand for themselves. Children in foster care, statistically at great risk of being exploited for various things. We'll talk about that this week. Our guest, the CEO of SkyWatch TV, and normally the gentleman you see sitting in this chair week after week, and the author of the brand new book, Innocence Shattered, Dismantling the Insidious War Against Our Children, Joe Artis Horn. Joe?
Derek, thank you. Thank
you. This, I know, is something that's very close to your heart. It is something that we've talked about over the past 10 years of SkyWatch TV. And as you know, the mission of SkyWatch TV is why Sharon and I are here right now. This book has been years in the making, I know. Why did you write Innocence Shattered?
Well, Derek, like you, and a little bit of history for those that don't know, before the Gilberts agreed to come and work at SkyWatch TV, their original vision for that journey here to Missouri was born out of an ATV ride that you all took with me, I want to say in 2014. We went out to what was going to become the Whispering Ponies Ranch, which now, today, is SkyWatch Television's charitable ministry where children that have been pulled out of sex trafficking, these are wards of the state, many still in foster care, go every year for Christ-centered rehabilitation programming, where we're able to offer amenities that set them up for success and teach them values and affirmation and, poise them to overcome obstacles and learn that they themselves have value. It is a program that is the most treasured thing that all of us share. This is why we're here. We love what we do at SkyWatch TV, but at large part, SkyWatch Television, the ministry, exists to make sure that what happens at Whispering Ponies Ranch takes place every year. But beyond that, over the years, and we can get into some of this if you wish, I've become a very serious child advocate. Like so many that came before me, following my parents by their lived example, my father and mother who founded the Whispering Ponies Ranch when I was off training dogs, and eventually I had to play catch up. But there was a driver behind that process, and we can talk about some of that in just a moment. I look into the eyes of children every year that have been completely destroyed. Their innocence has been entirely shattered at the hands of malevolent abusers that have done things to these children that most normal, sane, rational human beings can't even fathom how this is possible. We're talking about hands being held on stovetops as a form of discipline, children locked in dog cages, and much, much worse, things we can't even really talk about on the air.
Right.
And I look into those eyes, and I want to put a stop to that. I don't want to do child rehabilitation anymore. What I mean by that is I want to cut the head off of the evil that's responsible for it in the first place, so we don't need programs that rebuild children from the ground up. And until we do that, we will continue to serve these children until the day that we die. But I want to put a stop to it. And some of the things that I've gleaned over the years are the root causes for why this malevolence is taking place in the first place, and why we have a foster care system that's completely overburdened, and why children come up missing annually with no chain of custody and nobody looking for them, mostly classified as runaway. I want to put a stop to that, Derek. And I believe that the way we're going to do that, and we'll unpack this over the next couple of weeks, is to awaken the body of Christ, because the government is not doing this for us.
No, and we see that in statistics that just came out last fall. We know that there are more than 300,000 unaccompanied minors who entered the country over the previous 5 years and just disappeared into the country. And that's just only one aspect of it, because that's only those who entered the country illegally.
That's right.
There are also children, as you alluded to, who have disappeared from their homes.
That's
here,
right.
Citizens. And this problem is bigger than we realize. These statistics are far greater than we can imagine. And for some reason, most of us don't know about this. Why is that?
We are entertaining ourselves to death. The church is completely asleep at the wheel. And to me, if you want to look at what tomorrow looks like, you go after the children. This, to me, is why I think Lucifer prizes every life of innocence that he can snuff out before it even begins as the highest form of trophy.
Yeah.
If I can say this on TV, it is the largest proverbial middle finger that Lucifer can shake at God the Father every time he snuffs a life out before it has a chance to begin. You remove a future warrior and you turn them into a monster.
Yep.
You take a future leader and you turn them into an invalid. You shatter their innocence. You get them young, because those are the people that will grow up under abuse cycles to continue abuse. Those are tomorrow's leaders. Those are tomorrow's influencers. You go after the youth. I honestly, Derek, as we get into this, you mentioned just the number of kids that we're aware of that have come through the border. That's not even the number of abuse cases that are being reported every 10 seconds in Western civilization. As we sit here in the United States, every 10 seconds that we've been doing this program, there's been another telephone call made, another form of abuse identified. Every 10 seconds. If you wait 4 more seconds, this will happen again. And that is just talking about the vast surplus of children living in normal homes where the abuse is secret.
Right.
It's being hidden. But then you have the foster care system. And I just want to say at the very onset, the foster care system is a side effect of a very dark spiritual problem.
Yeah.
And we can unpack this. It's very tricky. We can generically say things like fatherlessness, motherlessness. We blame the decline of the nuclear family, the deterioration of the family construct.
Yeah.
Instead of mother, father, son, and daughter, it's now they, them. This Luciferian assault that is coming after an entire generation of young people comes in many different forms, Derek. It comes in by way of many different directions. It is from the AI companion apps that are being developed for children, in order to replace the fact that you need to counsel Uncle Bob or mother or father, or for kids that don't have people of influence in their life. They now have this AI companion app that will guide them through life's difficulties and be their friend and give them encouragement when they need encouragement, and talk to them about whether taking their own lives is maybe the rational next step based on the landscape of what is their life. It's also a replacement for love.
Yeah.
It's affirmation via technology. It's coming by way of the cartoons that our kids are watching. Big, giant corporations that are trying to normalize the idea that children should explore whether God made them a boy or a girl. It's to completely eradicate the idea of the family construct, to purposefully go after gender confusion and create an entire generation of kids that don't even know why they're here.
Right.
And now they're looking at their public school educators to help them navigate these very difficult life dilemmas that need exploration and self-discovery. Often this is packaged in the form of sex education. And of course, there you have even further evidence that lots of children are coming home completely confused about how childbirth is supposed to work. Recently, and I'm not going to edify this program by even identifying the name of the cartoon, because I don't want to make popular something that people don't need to go and look up, but Netflix recently has lost $15 billion following backlash over animated series that was propagandizing and pushing agendas that we've talked a lot about in series like the Rescue, a 6-part DVD series that, for those unfamiliar, was our last year's effort to raise awareness on this malevolence and what you can do as the body of Christ to begin to stand in the gap for these little children. So you see this Luciferian assault is coming after our kids in many, many different packages.
Yep.
In many, many different directions. And so I just want to say at the onset, the foster care system is side effect of a very dark spiritual problem that we have in Western civilization in particular. I don't blame the child advocates that have tried to work on placement. If you're a social worker watching this program and you're one of the good guys that's tried to do everything you can to make sure that these kids are safe and removed from harmful situations, that's how the system is supposed to work. I'm not here to disparage you. What I'm saying is foster care is a side effect of a spiritual problem. It is a complete failure to prioritize tomorrow's generation by the mothers and the fathers that have completely abandoned their children. Now, if you add to the fact that foster care is also an overburdened system without enough help, support, funding, you now have a situation where people have made an expertise out of exploiting those blind spots. And this is where you end up with children every single day that come up missing from the foster care system, and the stats are completely mind-boggling.
Years ago, early days of PID radio that Derek and I were doing back starting in 2005, we followed a story called The Finders. And you can look it up if you want to know more about it, but essentially it has to do with trafficking that was connected to deep state politics. Today, many of us were very, very happy when our children do something wonderful. And so we'll post things like that on social media. There are predators out there, and Joe, I know your research has discovered this, predators that have a particular desire. Here are the attributes I want.
That's right.
Blonde hair, blue eyes, whatever.
Right.
And so social media allows the finders for these predators
That's right.
to find the child for them. And that dovetails into all of these missing children.
That's right. Foster care children have a number of attributes that these groomers and traffickers are looking for, which makes them prime target. It's a series of things, and I don't want to give people ideas, but these are kids that have a history of running away. They have no strong male or female presence in their life, no close family or relative with custody of these children that have affirmed them and taught them life values or told them that they have potential and a future, that have prepared them with, job skills or communicatory skills or how to place themselves into the real world. They've been prepared zero. And these kids have a history of suicidal thoughts. A lot of them are on medications or need medicational intervention and don't have access to doctors because parents or guardians aren't taking them to hospitals because they're afraid of discovery, what might be going on at home. These are kids that have been told that they're garbage. They've been assaulted, physically abused. They're malnourished. Again, when you watch a series like Rescue Us and you realize that Samantha Orr, who's a dear friend of this ministry and now a child advocate who God completely pulled out of this nightmare type scenario, shares very openly about things that we weren't even able to put in the series. About one of her mother's lived-in boyfriends locking her in a garage on a 2x4 plank and then lifting this up onto some scaffolding so she's 8 feet in the air and can't get home, and then he would duct tape her round and round and round and leave her there for 12 hours at a time as a form of discipline. So she's starving, she's freezing. And her story, I hate to say it, her story is not unique at all. We see this chronically. To deal with the foster care system, realize that, first of all, these are only children that have been pulled out of homes where abuse has been discovered, and you hope that that is how the system is supposed to work. There are malevolent actors in the foster care system that have also taken advantage of the blind spots. And again, they're experts in how to exploit these blind spots. But right now, as we're doing this program, just to bring you up to speed, if you're watching this show and you're thinking, but foster care itself is serving the vast surplus of kids that have needs, right? Not even a little bit. Again, these are only the small percentage of children that have been removed from homes where abuse has been discovered or is known. And then there's this long, arduous process. We've got people here today that are either child advocates or who've worked with child services or placement or are in the process now are fighting the good fight of getting children out of harmful situations that will tell you. You hope that the system works where there's this righteous, benevolent judge sitting at his bench with his gavel, and he decides very promptly and very quickly to prioritize exactly and precisely what is best for the child. A lot of this takes a long time.
Yes, it does.
And a lot of times, and it boggles the mind, but a lot of times people with known histories of all kinds of trouble, from drinking to abuse or patterns of battery, end up with these kids.
Yep.
How can this even be happening in the United States? Well, right now it is. It's happening every day. And as we're doing this program, 420,000 children are in that system. Now, here's what you need to understand. 420,000 children that have not been rescued necessarily from abuse and are now in safe havens. No, 90% of these children are statistically guaranteed to experience at least 2 to 5 different types of abuse, Derek. Things, again, we can't say on television, but let's just say, and I'm sanitizing this greatly, inappropriate touch. Not being fed. The only meal that they get is whatever they get from the public school system. Being locked in places, and I'm not giving people ideas. Trying to normalize abuse so that these children don't speak out. Using medication to subdue them so that they don't speak out. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah.
50% of the children placed in foster care, 50% will never see familiar faces or loved ones ever again. So imagine being locked in a nightmare like the ones we have just barely skimmed the surface on. And the only constant you've ever known is your sibling.
Yeah.
And at least you're hiding under the bed from real life monsters with the constant that is your sibling. And suddenly, men and women in blue who are doing the very best they can to save you, but you're a child and have no idea what's even happening, rip you out of that and place you somewhere else where now you don't have your sibling, and a new monster emerges to continue new forms of abuse cycles. This is why I say groomers and traffickers are profiling people online. They are looking for foster children in particular because these kids have never been affirmed. They're looking for escape. They're looking for love. This is why children in foster care are 4 to 5 times more likely to commit suicide. And Derek, that's something you and I have talked about numerous times as we've done work at the Whispering Ponies Ranch. That program, I'm telling you right now, Lucifer hates what happens at the Whispering Ponies Ranch because it interrupts his plans to dismantle yet another innocent soul.
And it's why you guys have been attacked numerous times.
This is one of the reasons I have said many, many times that SkyWatch Television has been under just a constant spiritual assault, especially for the last 3-4 years. And then when we lost my father in 23, it was like Satan said, it's time to throw the kitchen sink. These people are scrambling. They're leaderless. It's time to go for the jugular. But by the grace of God, we are here. And I believe in large part it's because God understands the importance of this mission. And this is something we have all, everybody in this room, everybody up here on stage, has made a priority. Let me continue with just some of the information about the foster care for those watching this program that don't understand why this is such an area of passion for this ministry. The 23,000 young people that survive the gauntlet don't end up dead or don't end up missing. On average, the 23,000 young people that will age out of this program this year, 80% of those young men will become incarcerated almost immediately. 70% of the young women are statistically guaranteed to become pregnant out of wedlock with babies that will end up where?
The
foster
care
In the foster care system, and on goes the cycle. Do you see why I say if you want to destroy what tomorrow could look like, you go after the children? Almost half of the individuals that age out of the foster care system will be homeless in less than 2 years, and over 95 of them in systemic poverty. They have no coping skills for life. They have no job preparation. They have no talent whatsoever that's ever been fostered or developed by anybody that could have identified and helped position them for a job or some vocation. If they have talents, they've never been discovered.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Every child is important. Every child has giftings and talents. This is not a judgment about the quality of kids that are coming out of the system. It's a judgment about the lack of preparedness that they've been assigned in the system. Is this making sense?
Absolutely.
It's a judgment against us. It's a judgment against the church. And I want to challenge you in your church, your small group, your Bible study to educate yourself. Get a copy of the book, Innocence Shattered. This will be a valuable resource to understand the scope of the problem. Do you realize that the trafficking of children is bigger business for organized crime than illegal narcotics? It's children. They are the product.
Yep.
And is more profitable for the cartels, for the gangs, than narcotics, than prostitution. This is why this is such a difficult problem to solve. But if we can equip children, if we can learn to recognize the signs, we can begin to make a dent. We can begin to stand in the gap. For the least of these, as Jesus called them.
Yep.
Suffer the little children to come unto me. We are his hands, his feet. We need to open our arms to them. Educate yourself on the scope of the problem, and that will motivate you to begin to make a difference.
Yeah.
Joe, how do people get a copy of Innocence Shattered?
Well, first of all, Derek, I just want to let the viewers at home know, and of course anybody here live in attendance that has not heard me say this, this has been one of the most difficult conversations to break over what I call the wall. It becomes deplatformed, it becomes censored, it becomes blipped and chopped and removed and comments and
we've
suppressed and shadow banned. And do I need to say more things? I mean, can't get this message out. And we believe that's because the forces that are enjoying this Lucifer's playground don't want it tinkered with.
It explains a lot about why SkyWatch TV has been deplatformed from a major video sharing platform 3 times. And it's always been on this topic.
Every time, every single time.
Gee, do you begin to understand why now when you see the scope of the problem and how profitable it is?
Yes.
I'm not casting aspersions on anybody, but it's just, okay. Well, smoke, fire.
But I want to say very briefly why Innocence Shattered is different from other documentaries that you may have seen on the subject of just like, let's say, human trafficking or some of the dilemmas that the foster care system is facing. Innocence Shattered has a large appendix at the end that walks you, the reader, directly through the step-by-step thought exercises required to help you identify how you can stand in the gap for little children. And it doesn't matter, and this is very clear in the book, it doesn't matter if you have means, it doesn't matter if you have land, it doesn't matter what your skill sets are. I don't care if you're a grandmother watching this program and you have nothing to offer in terms of monetary compensation. This book will walk you through what you can do right now to interrupt Satan's plan for one of the little lives out there that is about to be completely demolished. If you are a person of means, it walks you through a series of thought exercises that juxtapose maybe what you could offer the kingdom in this battle, but it leaves you excuseless. It leaves you completely excuseless. Look, if I can do something for children, if God can take a middle-aged, balding guy that took over a television program post his father to do something for the children, then you have no excuse. But ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get engaged, if you want to join the fight, just a quick reminder that SkyWatch TV is a viewer-based supported ministry, and your partnership helps us to not only stay on the air, but also to continue sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the entire world, including places that can't monetarily support this ministry. When you order the new book, Innocence Shattered, we're going to send it to you as our love gift for your donation of only $25 or more, which includes, by the way, free shipping to all U.S. addresses. But right now, we're doing something very special and for a very limited time. You have an opportunity to upgrade your gift to include the entire award-winning Rescue, a 6-part documentary series on DVD for your donation of only $55 or more, which again will include free shipping to all U.S. addresses. So that is the Innocence Shattered book and the 6-part Rescue Us television series on DVD for your donation of $55 or more. Now, I want to bring to your attention very quickly that the new book, Innocence Shattered, along with the Rescue Us series, holds a retail value of $120 all by itself, but it's yours right now for your donation of only $55 or more. You can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. You can also visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the Innocence Shattered book and or the Innocence Shattered book with Rescue Us docuseries right now.
Joe, I want to bring this to a really personal level. You mentioned earlier, your career there as a certified dog trainer.
Yes.
You are also, as some of our audience may know, a world-class musician, guitarist, vocalist.
Thank you, Derek.
You could be touring the world as a performer, and instead you've chosen this path. What was it that led you to where you are right now, advocating for children?
I wish there was a short answer, because with only a couple of minutes left, I kind of need a short answer, so I'll have to collapse. I was training dogs, I was playing guitar, I was grappling with what I wanted my life to be about, and God would not let me feel released from the SkyWatch TV ministry. And this goes back years ago. My father is alive and well. There's nothing at all about the future that we could have anticipated requiring some involvement from Joe Horn. And of course, if you were to ask me today, I would say God can do anything he wants with SkyWatch TV. There's a lot of talented people. None of this needs me or depends on me. But the point is, it was a process over a period of a lot of years of watching the good value come out of places like Camp Davidson, 25 years ago, seeing the model of Royal Family Kids, a group of children that are shut down very much like the ones that we're talking about today that come in by way of foster care. We had a program way back in Central Oregon where we saw what God could do in the life of a child that's absolutely dismantled and what he could do to transform and rebuild and renew. And that never escaped us. So fast forward to the early 2000 and some teens, and I am making good money as a dog trainer. I was actually a certified obedience instructor trainer, so I actually taught other people how to teach dogs. And if you've ever seen the TV program, The Dog Whisperer, that's the fastest way I can collapse my model. I would go into homes and deal with biters and difficult dogs that are on the brink of being euthanized, and it was a huge area of passion. But I could not feel like God was releasing me to pursue that. Let's just call it an agenda that I thought might have been his calling for my life at one point. I couldn't get released from SkyWatch Television. And you combine that with what I began to see play out in the lives of children, that God was interrupting with his calling, and it became a passion. It was the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. It was the hardest prayer that I ever prayed in terms of, God, please let me think that this other thing is my life, because this child advocacy / television ministry is so not the one. But I didn't feel a release. And to this day now, as I look back at the loss of my father, the rise of Whispering Ponies Ranch, and the need for that ministry, I'm like, get this, God always knew what he was up to. And now I will say this, child advocacy is the hardest thing probably to do that I can think of in any ministry model, and we've done tons of them. But I will buttress this by saying, it is the most rewarding experience that you can live in this life. It is up there with having your own children or getting married. It is the most rewarding, fulfilling work that you can do, because you never, ever have to second guess whether God used it or not. How many of you have ever been through a season where you're like, God, I don't know, that was a lot of season and a lot of energy spent. Was any of that of value? And you wait years for the answer to that. Not child advocacy.
Yep.
When you interrupt Lucifer's plan for a child, you get same-day affirmation, same-day evidence that that plan is being disrupted, and God is doing something in the life of a child that is voiceless otherwise.
Well, we'll have to talk about some of those stories next week, as well as some of the root causes of the evil leading to the need for ministries like Whispering Ponies Ranch and SkyWatch TV, and, of course, your support for both of those. Joe Artis Horn, the book is Innocence Shattered. For Joe, I'm Derek Gilbert. This is SkyWatch TV.